Hi, everyone, and welcome to Friday morning's Digital Nomad interview. If you don't know this by now, a digital nomad is someone who can be anywhere in the world where there's Wi-Fi and they have a cell phone or a laptop or some device that they can access, and they can create income and do whatever it is they are choosing to do to create their own life. And they do it without going to a 9-to-5 job. So they do it on their own time, on their own terms. And this morning, I'm delighted, exalted, totally excited to chat with my friend Noelle Foster. She is a lovely being in this online space, and I feel totally honored to be able to interview her and share her information with you. So welcome, Noelle, and would you start by telling us who you are? Tell us something about you, love.
Yeah. Oh, Harmony. I feel the same way about you. Harmony and I, when we've met in this online space, and immediately we're like soul sisters, and so just really delighted every time we interact, and we talk on the phone, or we just comment on each other's posts, and it feels like some people look at social media as a platform for separation, and I think if you actually approach it with your heart, with the right intent, like everything's about intent, then it can be actually a platform for dissolving the barriers and bring you together with people that you love, who you can't see every day. So I love this, and I love Harmony. So thank you for having me on your podcast today. And actually I added the O back into my name. Noelle Foster is my ancestral name. Yeah. And I have 2 kids. I'm a single mom. I'm a homeschooling mom. I'm kind of unschooling, eclectic unschooler. In other words, we're all rebels. Everybody in my house is a rebel. And my kids are brilliant, by the way. If anybody is worried about like their kids not learning in things through unschooling or homeschooling, the metrics say otherwise. My kids are like, way over beyond where their peers are, public school peers. So yeah, that's me. And I'm a digital marketer. I never thought I would do this either, because I came from all sorts of things. My last gig was ghostwriting and editing, totally different. Behind a computer screen, you never saw me in my dirty sweatpants, typing away at a computer. But I've done a lot of different other things too. And this was not on my radar until, last May, a little under a year ago. Yeah.
And
was that a good introduction?
Yeah, and so you were living your life with your babies, doing your thing, and what happened that you discovered this space?
Yeah, so what happened was, actually, it's a lot more dramatic than that. So because I'm a writer, I like a little drama. So I had a really difficult marriage, and this podcast is not about marriages or difficult marriages, but it was very difficult, and we really tried therapy. I might cry because that's what we do when we when we're menopausal, and also yeah. So I saw that writing was on the wall. It was coming, and it got to the point where I had to make a decision, and I was really afraid. And because, I've never had a problem supporting myself as a single person with no children. I had children at 42 and 45, and so yeah, very different. I was fine, but with kids, right, then the fear creeps in, and and so, yeah, I didn't want to, I also probably, I think it's because I'm a late in life mom. It's so precious for me. Like, I didn't know that I was going to be able to have kids, so then my daughter arrives. And then my son arrives, and I felt so blessed. and I didn't want to lose that time. And so, so I homeschool, and I'm one of those weirdos who actually likes to spend time with my kids. And I was, I was not willing to send them off to the institution and then go off to another institution and then see them for like 2 hours a day. You know, no way. And so I worked part-time, which was great, but then my marriage was ending. And so how am I going to do that? You know, I couldn't keep the marriage together for my own health and sanity, right? It was really clear. It was 12, maybe it was 14 years of in and out of therapy and like real work. So I had to make this decision, and I saw my friend, Brooke, who I've known for 20 years, 20 plus years. We went to the same acting school in Los Angeles over 20 years ago. And we've been in and out of each other's lives. You know, motherhood brought us back together. And so I saw these posts, and she was like, what is going on? She's traveling and she's expressing herself and she's making money on the internet, which it was on my radar. Like I knew that this was a viable model for people, because I had friends that were I have a digital nomad friend who lives in Southeast Asia and has his family there, and he's just living the life. So I knew there was little pockets of little signs here and there. I knew this was the way to go. I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't techie minded. But I kept watching and watching and watching. And then actually I unfollowed her for a while. And it was really because of my own triggers, right? I was living this life that I wasn't happy with. And so then I was looking at her life and going, look at this amazing life. And she's got this amazing husband. Scott Servine is, shout out to Scott Servine. He's one of my favorite people. Really love him a lot. And she's, you know, she's all lit up. And I'm sitting here in my sad life. You know, I don't want to know about this. I'm sure it's just a bunch of BS and she's trying to sell me something. So unfollow. And I'm also a little bit of an a-hole Virgo. Skeptic. Yeah.
Me too. I'm so skeptical about so much. I'm so skeptical about so much. Because we live in a society in a lot of ways where people just hit the superficial and there's so much beneath. So I'm always have and I've lived on the fringe my entire life. So yeah, I don't believe anything at face value. So I'm glad you were skeptical also.
Oh yeah. And but then what happened was she kept showing up, right? So when people keep showing up, then I'm like, okay, let me pay attention to this again. And actually what happened was we had a meetup scheduled. Sometimes a few times a year I would go down to her house in Santa Cruz and we'd camp, or we'd just go to the beach and hang out and get our kids together. Our kids get along really well together. And I could see that the image that I saw of her in person, in 3D, in life, was the same as I was seeing online. And having come from the entertainment industry for 10 years, and like seeing how much smoke and mirrors there is, you know, and actually, to be fully honest, this poncho is covering up a pair of dirty sweatpants and probably a really old shirt. So from the neck up, it's like camera ready. That's the awesome thing about digital marketing is, you know, you could be wearing no pants and it would be all groovy.
Right. Well, you know how I answered the phone this morning when you called, so I put clothes on. Right? Oh, good girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. So so I could see that, oh wow, this is real. And then she also showed me what her affiliate offer was. And I won't get into this now unless you want me to, but I have known about her affiliate offer. That's what affiliate marketing is. Digital marketing is that there's always a product or service, because otherwise it's just emptiness, and that's kind of a form of bullshit, right? So I saw, oh, this is the affiliate offer, and I've known about this company for 15 years. I am a total full body yes on my alignment with their values and their what they offer. And then it was a couple months later, because I never watched. Okay. I never watched the webinar. and then I just kept watching. And then she said, I asked her one day, I told her I'm ready to, so that's kind of interesting. I told her and said, okay, I'm ready to go. How much is it to become a distributor? Because you have to have a product in order to become a distributor. It just makes sense. And how much money are you making every month? And how long did it take you to pay off your investment? And it was like, okay, check, check, check. You know, I don't think we're allowed to talk about numbers. I think that that there's laws and like requirements for what you can say and not say. But I was like, oh yeah. And that was the entree. It's a really long answer to your question, but that's what you get when you ask a question of a writer and a screenwriter. You're going to get a long, dramatic answer.
Well, and right? I don't know if you know who Shanota Bolin is, but I adore this woman. And she's written books on circles and the goddesses and every woman. And she says, we talk like a spiral, that we're getting to our point, you know, but it's not a linear direction that we're walking. It's not a straight line. And we're all over the place. And so she said, I will never, ever apologize for how I communicate. And I love that because it's just how we are as women, because one thing leads to another.
That's
so
great.
You had a good friend, you unfriended her for a while because she was triggering you. When you actually went in to see what the hell she was doing, I know we can't talk numbers, but you and I know she's probably made 100 times what her investment was in this business. And so you decided to jump in. And how is this for you, Noelle? What is it that you super love about being a digital marketer? Let's go there.
Great question. So it's been a really big year for me. So
now you were cutting out.
50 on my last birthday. I also became a crone. So okay, let's try this. How's that? Is that better?
Okay, keep going and we'll see.
Everyone's mobile. It's a mobile phone.
It's just every once in a while.
Okay, yeah, you're frozen too.
Are all like marbly, and I want to hear what you have to say. So,
okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take it outside because I have insulation in my walls that prevents EMFs, and sometimes it prevents a feed as well. So we're going to take it outside because that's what we can do when we're digital marketers.
Look at that.
It might be a little blown out. Right? It might be a little blown out.
It's all good.
Let's see.
Yeah, there.
Let's see. Okay. Okay. So
it's one of the things I want to say that I absolutely friggin' love is that we're flexible and that we know that shit happens and that you're just adjust and that there's no one way that anything's supposed to look. Right? We're all being flexible, all figuring this out together so that you could pick yourself up and go outside. Just rocks to me. So carry on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I might go stand in front of this beautiful bush that's flowering in my front yard.
Do it.
So we'll take a little trip. Yeah, oh, it's so pretty. It's got all these red roses. Red, what are they? They're not roses. Okay, there we go. So
so what do you love?
So what do I love about it? Okay, so what I really, really love, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I really love. So I really love, I was explaining how I turned 50 on my last birthday, and I really decided there was a lot of, it was like a crucible, right? Menopause is like this metamorphosis and this crucible, and then I was burning off these old patterns and these old limiting beliefs and these old things that weren't serving me. And one of the things that wasn't serving me was holding myself back from just expressing who I am, because I'm a bit eccentric. I like to wear hats and bright colors, and I I like to overshare at parties with people that I just met.
No wonder we're so having
And
fun. Yeah.
And I was really tired of, like you said, like apologizing or shrinking or stepping, like being smaller. And so I saw that, yeah, and I saw this vehicle that can be used really for full self-expression. And I'm a writer, and I like to share heartfelt experiences and wisdom, and so that was that was like the first thing that I loved about it. And then the second thing that I loved about it was that when I started showing up this way, I was attracting people to me who were also like in that vibration, and were also, you know, oversharing party talkers and flamboyant eccentrics and artists and yogis and just heartfelt people. And then all of a sudden I had friends that I'm going to start crying again, because I went through life kind of like introvert, like sort of ambivert, maybe leaning to introvert. I was explaining to Harmony before we got on that I was that person who had like always had one or two friends, and we would sit over on the rocks underneath the trees drawing horses and talking about how we were so glad that we weren't cheerleaders, although we secretly wanted to be, but we weren't. Yeah, and I'm actually totally fine that I wasn't a cheerleader, but I so now I have this community of people who you can go in deep with them, and you can be yourself, and there's no competition, and there's just nurturing. It's like brothers and sisters. I'm the oldest in my family, and I never had the the older brother, the older sister. So that is the number two thing that I really love about it. And the third thing that I would say that I love about it so much is that because I'm an artist and I'm a rebel, I have had challenges my whole life long trying to conform to corporate status quo. I don't like uniform codes. I went to Catholic school for a couple years, and I always found ways to break the uniform code and not get in trouble. I so the thing about having your own brand on in the digital world is that you really get to be yourself, and you really get to design your life. And being a digital nomad is rad because you really get to design your life exactly the way you want it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, my kids are in enrichment programs twice a week, so they get to hang out with their buddies, and so I get a lot of work done on when they're gone. But when they're back, I just get to jump on the trampoline with them, or take them to Lake Tahoe in the middle of the week, or go on a mom vacation. Last week I went to Sonoma on a Friday because I don't work in an office. You know, I'm going to Australia in a week for 10 days, and then taking my kids to Mexico because we're homeschoolers. Yeah, so it's so, yeah. And then the other, okay, there's another part to it. There's so many things I love about this. The other part to it is that I don't have to trade my hours for dollars. So that it's like when I was copywriting and editing and ghostwriting, and then before that teaching dramatic arts to children, I was topped out, right? Like I can only work so many hours beyond which I'm taking it out of my family time or my sleep time. With this model, I get to work as much or little as I want. And the way that my business is building, and other people in this field are building, is that there's exponential growth. So it just grows and grows and grows. It doesn't grow commensurate to the number of hours that you're working. Although, you know, if you're putting more hours in the beginning of it, you'll build faster, but you're going to build anyway. It doesn't matter how many hours a day. If you're consistent, you'll build it. So yeah, so I don't have to do that. I'm not, that's not the model of like this burnout where I'm working 60 hours a week and then I get to like, and I'm so tired by the weekend that we just sit down and watch movies all weekend or something like that. It's not the model. I mean, I do work. It's not like I'm just sitting in the pool, chilling all day long. Right. But oh my God, I'm so grateful because it could have gone a million other ways, which would not be nearly as rich as what I have now, so it's, maybe I'll come up with something else I love. I do love the money also. That's pretty good. And the product, the affiliate offer is great. Yeah. And also my community extends internationally. So I have dear friends in Amsterdam, in Paris, in United Kingdom. And so I have places that I can go anywhere in the world right now. I know people. I have people in Costa Rica, in Bali, hopping on an airplane and going down for a week to visit any of these people. Like, I feel like when I was a little girl and I imagined what life could be, and here I'm going to start crying again. Like, I imagine that it was going to have these things. It was going to have friendship and music and travel and abundance. And I didn't see the clear way in the model that we have. Most of us have this terrible model where we just kind of lose our life essence, And this is the first time that I've actually seen, like, wow, the things that I wanted as a little girl, I actually get to have them. I'm beside myself, in a good way, in the best way. Yeah.
What a wonderful vision, glasses to put on. Because as I was hearing you talk, I was thinking, yeah, when we're kids, we imagine all kinds of things that is not generally what shows up as adults. And I've also felt the same thing of that whole getting to revision and what is it that you really want, and that this actually is a vehicle to get you there, that you're not just trading time for money. And I want to add the cooperation, hearing you talk about how there are people all over, friends all over the world, and the cooperation is off the charts of people supporting each other and walking arm in arm and holding hands. And it's such a different model that I think many people have their skepticism, like we talked about at the beginning, on, and maybe for too long. I'm not sure about that. But so what would you tell people who are watching you who say, Noelle, okay, give me some guidance here. I want what you're having. What would you do?
Is that like that scene in that old movie when Harry met Sally? Yeah. Oh, I watched what she's having. That looks good. Yeah. So I would say like there's a couple of things. People are often afraid that when they jump in, that they're going to look around and that the people who were there when they open the door are not there when they enter the room, and that they'll be left to I get this question a lot. They'll be left to their own devices in having to figure it out. And the Freedompreneur community, which is like the larger overarching international community that we're a part of, which 4,000 people in it, is filled up with little pods of smaller teams, like my Brooks team, which is about 200 people, my team, which is just about a dozen, because I've started later than she did. And the model from the very top down, right? So it matters how you start a thing. How you start a thing matters, because that is what informs, like you go to a I don't know, a coffee shop, and you notice that the baristas are all kind and happy and sweet and funny, and all of them are that way, and therefore that they must have a manager or an owner who also is that way and imbues the whole establishment with that kind of energy, right? And so the Freedompreneur Collective from the top down has a credo, and it's a beautiful credo. So if you want to be in that Freedompreneur Collective, you are in alignment with that credo, right? If you are partnering up with Harmony, which I would have done in a second if I had known you before. I mean, Brooke is a fantastic mentor, but Harmony is so amazing, and so nurturing. You're going to get what you get right now. What you feel like you're getting right now, you're going to get a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. It doesn't go away. There's massive amounts of training, which is complimentary, which is free, which comes with the Freedompreneur Collective, which is massive. I'm not even through it, which I feel guilty about saying. Again, butthead Virgo. But I'm making my way through it. There's mentorship calls like every week, huddle calls, one-on-one mentorship. So the training alone, I did pay like $6,000 last year for online training. And it was good training, but it wasn't anywhere near what's available in this collective for free. So there's no, all of what you see now, it's still there after you open the door and walk in the room. What else? The other thing is that it's good to be willing to do the inner work, because all of the thought leaders that are, Tony Robbins, and there's a number of them, Joe Dispenza and Brene Brown, and they all say the same thing, which is that, like, in different ways, 80% of your success is your inner work, and the 20% is strategy. And the strategy is all taught with all these courses and mentorships. And the 80%, there also is support for that as well. A lot of healers in our collaborative, a lot of classes on different techniques to use to heal yourself, right, and help yourself. If you are ready to do that, and I think everybody should. Well, I want to say should. There's no shoulds.
No.
But there's nothing to fear in that step forward to healing yourself and opening yourself. There's nothing to fear, especially in this community. That informs your success and will make you more powerful and more. Your gifts will be more apparent. You'll be. Your brand will be juicier, because nobody wants to be sold a line of crap. They really want you. And the last thing that I would say, most people have imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome meaning, I don't think I have gifts. I don't think I have anything to offer. I don't think I have any value. I don't think nothing everything I say is dumb. And I'll tell you something, that I had all of it. And we get wounded, right, throughout our life. We get wounded, and it shuts us down. And the place where it takes the courage is the willingness to step out and be yourself anyway, and know that you have value. Everybody alive has a perspective that nobody else has, because I'm the only person that's standing right here with these two eyes looking around that has my exact life experience, that has my speech patterns. I have a little bit of a lisp, and I trip over my tongue, and I say inappropriate things sometimes. And and the people who don't like that, because maybe I'm too weird, they're going to go someplace else. Right. And the people who are craving that, they're like, oh man, I need somebody, because I too do verbal diarrhea at parties, and I too I'm a little weird too. And then they find you, right? They find you. And so you get to be yourself, really, and step into, we all have wisdom. We all have an inner guru. We're all connected to source energy. We're all connected to the earth. We're all children of the earth. So we all have value. Yeah. And we'll help you see that.
Yeah.
So much value.
So much value. My heart just feels so full right now. I think part of it is two women getting together, juicy, talking, the oxytocin starts flowing. That's pretty yummy. But we've been raised in the patriarchy. And what we've been told is put your kids someplace, go get a job, pay for all the shit that you're consuming, and live a life of fear. Many people who are listening to us have not signed up for it. They are fringe dwellers like we are, that have lived on the fringe their whole life. And part of what is so about this online space that we're in is there's lots of us. There's lots of us that haven't fit in, that are living on the edge, that are Buddhists and Abraham Hicks lovers, and doing the work of consciousness. And I think this business, well, for me anyway, it's saying focus on being your best self, shine that out into the world, have a ton of fun, and make some money while you do it. So when people say to me, you know, there's an investment, it's like, it's a business. What business did you ever go into that there wasn't an investment? I started Magical Child, my preschool, with $10,000 on my credit card, and I never made more than $35,000 a year. And I wouldn't have changed it. It was my healing, a lot of me healing my inner child. But there's a bevy of all of us that have our own stories of where we've come from, and that we're all wanting to make a difference now. And the world needs us, and the world really needs our voice. So I feel so inspired, Noelle. Thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom, your heart, your voice with us. And if anyone's interested in what the heck Noelle's doing, what I'm doing, you know, either of us, reach out to us. We'll hook you up so that you can start getting some information and seeing if this is a good fit for you. You know, you can take as long as you want. You can do it really fast. It's everything that's part of, I want to say, this business is it's so layered, and there's so many ways to do it. So just like I started a preschool, there was, you know, a certain idea of what a preschool was to be. And so I had a certain model to follow. There is a bit of a model to follow here, but it's so open-ended because we really celebrate our uniqueness, and we celebrate our gifts and celebrate each other shining. So, I guess I'll leave you today with saying, shine on. If you want more information on being a digital nomad, any kind of digital marketing, reach out to both of us. And thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you, Noelle.
Yeah, thank you for all of you who are listening, who will listen. And Harmony, it's just it's a blessing every time that that we have an interaction, and someday we'll do it in the flesh. I know that's going to come this year.
Yay for both of us. Oh, blessings to you, dear sister. Enjoy this day.
Thank you.